Multilateral Affairs and International Economic Relations Assistant Secretary Eric Tamayo. Sir.
Thank you so much, and it's a great pleasure to join you all this afternoon and to share with you the developments that we have seen in the first day of the APEC Economic Leaders Meeting that started today. And the first day of the APEC Economic Leaders Meeting has, for all intents, been very successful. And we look forward to the same level of commitment from leaders throughout its completion by tomorrow. As you may well know, this is the first in-person leaders meeting since 2018. And we witness the spirit of collaboration and cooperation here in Bangkok, and working towards the fulfillment of the priorities of Thailand's hosting year, which has for its theme, Open, Connect, and Balance. This year's agenda focused on sustainable and inclusive growth, reconnecting the region, and open trade and investment. And we are anticipating some positive outcomes. Our people are hard at work in finalizing a joint ministerial statement and also working on the Leaders' Declaration. And not to mention also a priority statement on the Bangkok goals of the bi-circular green economy model. Now, this particular declaration on the Bangkok goals is something unique for APEC and for outcomes of the APEC economic leaders. If we compare to previous declarations, because this is indeed a separate undertaking by the leaders and underscores the importance on having a collaborative platform on climate change action, including on net zero greenhouse gas emissions, facilitating sustainable trade and investment, the sustainable management of resources, the conservation of the environment and biodiversity, and resource efficiency and sustainable waste management. Now today, during the informal dialogue with guests, the President highlighted the Philippine priorities on services, especially shipping and logistics, and also calling attention to the important work of maritime crew. We look forward to further APEC work in this area. Throughout the course of the engagements of the President so far, we have discussed, and the President has discussed and taken up food and energy security, poverty reduction, and addressing inequalities while promoting inclusive and sustainable growth. The President pointed to the tools and mechanisms in the platform in APEC to address these, and as such, we wish and we're very much keen on furthering cooperation among member economies in this regard. After all, APEC has not only been the Philippines' prime platform for collaborative engagement in the region, the APEC region itself has been the engine of global growth for the past 4 decades. And the President expressed optimism in further realizing and revitalizing this role of the Asia-Pacific region in promoting the growth of the global economy and also promoting a better quality of life for the Philippines and for every single Filipino. Thank you very much.
First question, Katrina Domingo, ABS-CBN.
Good afternoon, sir. Can you give us more details about the President's bilateral meeting with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman?
Actually, that meeting is still ongoing now, and we are very happy that it is now commencing. The President has been looking forward to undertaking this bilateral meeting, and we were, based on the adjustments that have to be made. It has been a very busy day, and schedules have been also altered in many ways, but we are happy to report that the President is now undertaking this bilateral meeting.
Follow-up question, what issues or topics is President Marcos expected to raise before the Crown Prince?
We will be providing a more detailed account of the meeting once it's done. So please wait for that.
Next question, Ace Romero.
ASEC, what has been the response of APEC leaders on President Marcos' call for green pandemic economy recovery?
Well, definitely the president joined the calls of APEC economic leaders here in Bangkok, and our alignment with the BCG economic model, this biocircular green economy, we certainly express support for Thailand's hosting and for Thailand's priorities. And most of the statements coming from the leaders actually align and parallel the president's pronouncements as well. So we can say that there's a lot of agreement on the Philippines' stand on promoting this biocircular green economy and collective and concerted action to address climate change, and also addressing the challenges that face the economy of the region, including rising prices, including also the challenges to the supply chain, the disruptive impact of certain developments in the other parts of the world. These are areas where we think that the Philippines certainly has expressed concern in this regard. When the president also alluded and referred to this during his presentation and speech at the APEC CEO Summit as well. So the president called attention to these challenges and also expressed optimism that we can work with APEC leaders in revitalizing APEC's historical role as the driver of economic growth, not only in the Asia-Pacific region, but in the whole world.
Next question, Nestor Corrales. Mela Las Moras, sorry.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon. May I also ask if President Marcos also talked to Vietnam president, and do you have any information what they agreed upon earlier today?
Well, in this platform of being with other APEC leaders, there are circumstances where you can try to schedule meetings as well, and also happen to bump into each other. So it's certainly one of the highlights of a gathering of leaders in a particular place. So as with all other meetings with the president, we will convey the outcomes of these meetings in due time.
And just a follow-up, can you also share to us what are the expected topics on the bilateral meeting of President with his counterpart from France?
From France. Oh, again, we don't want to preempt the president's discussions with President Macron, but I think this will happen in a few minutes actually, if that's it. So right after the discussions with Saudi Arabia.
Next question, Francesca Regalado of DK Asia.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you po for taking the question. I wanted to ask about the negotiations on the joint statement. What we're hearing is ang pinanggagalingan ng issue is the inclusion of the issue of the war in Ukraine and Russia's role in it. And some economies, primarily China, do not want to include the political language in an economic document. What is the Philippines' position on this po?
Well, of course, the Philippines is supportive of the collective interest to have a joint statement and a joint declaration by the leaders and by the ministers. And therefore, we are very much keen on arriving at a consensus statement at this time. And certainly, there are topics and subjects that are sensitive to other APEC economy members. And we are trying to find ways to move forward on this. And we believe that, and we are quite confident that we will be able to arrive at a good landing zone on certain text and language on how to frame the challenges before the region. Now, it just so happens as well that recalling also the outcome of the recent G20 meeting, we see that anything is possible and that our leaders are prepared to keep that spirit of collaboration. So our people are hard at work, hammering out the text and details of a possible consensus ministerial statement and a possible leaders' declaration. And we believe that, and we are quite optimistic that our host will have some positive or good news for everyone. Guarded optimism for us as well, and we believe that, again, the outcomes of the G20 meetings have given us a template for language and text that will frame these challenges before us, and that also will help us define and seek and obtain guidance from our leaders on policy directions in this regard.
Next question, Alvin Baltasar.
Sir, good afternoon. Sir, pictures were saying that Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau had a light moment with the President. Did they have a short talk, and what was it all about? Sir?
Again, any of the and all of the President's bilateral meetings, there'll be a more robust and proper accounting for all of you, and that's so your kind indulgence is requested. Thank you.
Next question, Victor Cabuenas.
Good afternoon, sir. It was reported that yesterday ministers agreed to have a free trade agreement before within APEC economic members. Is this among the Bangkok goals you were talking about, and can you please elaborate on that? Thank you.
Well, revitalizing the discussion on the free trade area of the Asian Pacific is one of the thematic priorities of the host economy. Bear in mind that discussions on the free trade area, on the FTAP, has been on the APEC agenda since 2004, and this year has been a time to revitalize discussions on this, especially as we head to further discussions on arriving at regional governance mechanisms, free trade areas in this part of the world. We supported Thailand's efforts in re-examining discussions on the FTAP. And this is part and parcel of the APEC agenda as well, for the APEC member economies to eventually arrive at pathways so that we can have these free trade arrangements. If not all of us, then at least most of the member economies of APEC.
Next question, Vance Fernandez.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. What is the long-term administration's goal of the Marcos government in terms of relation with the Thai government and the people?
Well, that will certainly be quite evident when the President meets the representatives of the 100,000 strong Filipino community here in Thailand. So the diaspora alone is an important linkage between the Philippines and Thailand. And the past couple of days, the President has been hard at work, meeting with business people, and also furthering the interest of many Thai companies to do business in the Philippines, and also noting that many Philippine companies are also keen on doing business in Thailand. So we think that this is a win-win arrangement, and there are plenty of opportunities and synergies between Philippine and Thai enterprises in many industries and many enterprises and investments.
Michelle Gilang.
Good afternoon po. As we know, hi sir, I'm here.
Sorry.
As we know po, President Marcos held a first bilateral meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping yesterday. And here, the Chinese embassy in Manila said the President indicated the Philippine government's readiness to start talks over the joint energy exploration between the Philippines and China in the South China Sea. Are we privy about what had been the response of the Chinese President when President Marcos put forward this proposition? Thank you.
Well, again, such details will be provided in due course. But certainly, I can, given also the discussions that the President has had in his interventions in the APEC meetings, energy security is a priority. And ensuring that our industry can function and be productive. And one of the critical ways to do this is, of course, by ensuring the steady supply of energy, affordable energy in the Philippines. And that is something that the President is very hard on working on. Exploring and promoting renewable sources of energy, and also seeking partnerships in developing climate-friendly and cheaper sources of energy for the Philippines and for the Philippine people.
Last question from Bea Hubin.
Sir, we understand earlier several leaders had an emergency gathering shortly after sa inauguration, sir, dahil may suspected intercontinental ballistic missile launch from North Korea. How does this affect perhaps the outcomes of the APEC, given, clearly threats to regional security is of concern to the economies in APEC?
Well, certainly here in Bangkok, peace is a very important part of the agenda, and ensuring that we promote peace in this part of the region, because peace provides that pathway for prosperity and progress. Without peace, there's no stability, there's no predictability, and we have seen that as we come out of the pandemic, and as we also address these disruptions in the supply chain, here by forging these partnerships in APEC, we are promoting that level of stability for economic growth to prosper in the region.
Thank you very much. Multilateral Affairs and International Economic Relations Assistant Secretary Eric Gerardo Tamayo. Thank you very much, members of the Philippine Media Delegation.
Thank you. It's